What's going on, guys? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Week 11 injury report. We're just going to jump right into the content because that's what we do. I don't understand all these long intros with all these channels. Last night, Justin Dunn comes out of the game with right shoulder discomfort. He previously had shoulder discomfort before and came out of a game. Not good. Not ideal. Not good. Not good at all. So Justin Dunn, he actually was pitching pretty well last night before he came out. I think this is a kind of wait and see situation, but it's really not good news going back to back with shoulder issues. I could see a disaster scenario where he's essentially shut down for the year. Honestly, I really could. Seattle has not a whole lot to gain by pushing him, so we'll see what happens there. Gleyber Torres comes out of the last night's game. He was turning a double play, and he kind of like fell weird when he was. It was really weird, and he kind of stayed down for a few seconds, and then got back up, and then he got pinch hit for, and it was kind of a bad spot to get pinch hit for. So we'll have to see what happens here. Lower back stiffness. This is the same thing that kind of plagued Harper over the last week here, and he's been out. Hopefully for the Yankees, who really need their bats right now, Odor is not going to make this lineup better, unfortunately, playing anywhere in there. So Torres really needs to be in this lineup, even though he's not hitting that well. He still needs to be there for the Yankees, and any timeout, I really feel like is going to hurt them even more so. Day to day for now, I expect and hope that he'll be back in the next couple of days. He'll probably sit today out, maybe even tomorrow, but we'll see what happens here. Getting into some bigger names now, Alex Bregman goes down, 10-day DL, left quad strain, and I believe this is the same thing that that Springer has had for most of this season now here. Outside of he had multiple, he had the oblique, and then he had the quad. Hopefully for Bregman, this is not a Springer-like quad injury. Bregman's having a decent year, not his best years. It's kind of a weird one here. So we'll have to see how this goes. Hopefully he's there on for the minimum, but it's definitely worth watching and monitoring. Houston took a couple of blows. I think I have Kyle Tucker on here, but that's probably a little bit later because DeGrom is next. And DeGrom is interesting, maybe the most interesting one on here. And it's odd because, okay, so this guy's having basically the best pitching season of all time almost. It's up there, and if it's not the best, it's really close to the best. And here's the thing though, is I feel like there's this kind of balancing act between potentially threatening your career at this, well, I don't want to say your career, but he's had all these kind of elbow and then his shoulder, and then he's got all these issues, kind of like he's dodging bullets here, and he's rather going to continue to dodge bullets and this is all nothing and he's totally fine, or he's actually really hurt and he's just pushing himself to try to kind of continue this greatest season of all time. He looks great when he's on the mound despite all these kind of nitpicky injuries, but man, I just hope for our sake as baseball fans that it's not like, oh man, he goes out there and his arm literally falls off because he keeps trying to, throw 100 and all this fun stuff. So, boy, I'm really worried about DeGrom at this point. He's come out of this last two starts with an injury. And, but hey, here you see it right here. Doctors say that they don't see any issues with his shoulder. So they're not seeing an issue, and yet he's coming out of games. So I don't know what to make of it. He went 3 innings and had 8 Ks in his last start. I mean, it's incredible. I hope that we can continue to watch him, and I hope that he doesn't end up coming out for the season because it's very possible. Byron Buxton kind of had a setback here. I understand this fully. He's kind of a speed guy. We talked about him last time about how he's on his way back, but he's having a setback. He has the problem that I think a lot of athletes have, which is your mind is ready to play. You want to go 100%. Your brain is telling your legs, hey, you're good to go. Go for it. But your legs are not smart enough to realize that there might still be a little bit of an issue, and your legs don't really know how to only go 80 to 90%. And when that happens, when your mind is before your actual physical health, you end up hurting other parts of your legs or that same leg again. There's so many times you hear people, they pull their right hamstring and then they start going, and then they pull their left hamstring because they're compensating. Or same thing with ankles, right? Your right ankle sprain, you're compensating, and you end up hurting something on your left side. It happens to a lot of people, and I hope for Buxton's sake that it's not, because he was really exciting this year. He really broke out, and I hope that we can see him play again because Minnesota desperately needs him. All right, here's Kyle Tucker. COVID list though. So okay, for some reason I was thinking in my head, and even though I took this screenshot that he had an actual injury, but COVID list, that's probably good news at this point. We haven't seen a lot of these actually, so I don't know if that's like props to the league for their protocols, or if that's like a sign for the world that this is coming to an end, or whatever it might be. But we haven't seen a whole lot of these, which is good. The ones we do see, unfortunately, are Kyle Tucker. So Bregman and Tucker out of Houston's lineup really puts like a wet rag on top of that lineup a little bit. Rendon, he's got this tricep issue. He's been out for 2 days straight now. They think that he's going to be able to avoid the IL. Rendon's kind of a weird one. Every single time I feel like he gets hurt, he's got these kind of like weird injuries that aren't the same. And usually I feel like he ends up on the IL for him. I don't know. This one of all things, I just don't know what's going to happen here because I could easily see them saying, "Oh yeah, you know what? He is on the IL. Make it retro for 3 days ago or whatever." Uh, the problem is the Angels desperately need him in the lineup, so maybe that's why they're kind of trying to push this a little bit. But boy, I guess maybe next Tuesday when we do this, let's see what happens. Maybe he'll play this weekend, but it just doesn't seem like something that he's just going to come back from in a few days. We'll see. We'll keep going here. Cody Bellinger, left hamstring tightness. I guess this is the opposite. This is a team that does need hitting. Their lineup is not that strong without Seager and Bellinger. I know that sounds weird because they still have Mookie Betts, they still have Muncy, they still have Turner, they still have all these good hitters. But Bellinger is a big bat that they need in their lineup. However, the Dodgers have a little bit of wiggle room where they can kind of be a little more safe with these kind of injuries and take their time, get him back right. Which so far he's come back and then gone back on and come back and go back on. But these are two kind of different things. But this could also be exactly what I just talked about. He had the left fibula hairline fracture and now he's got this left hamstring tightness. It's just one of those things where it's like, and your mind is ready to go, but your body might not be. And I think again, might be what we're seeing here. So hopefully Bellinger could come back. He's probably a good buy low option for people right now, honestly, because when he does come back, I think that he's going to go off. Bryce Harper, we're continuing with the big names. We already alluded to this pretty much, so I'm pretty much going to skip this one. Sore back, and I think that he's going to be fine. Sounds like he's going to be fine. The old like back spasm, and they take it too seriously. I think he'll be back in the lineup, and the Phillies need it to be. Jeff McNeil is finally coming back. I could also have Conforto on here. I think Conforto is pegged for next week, maybe mid to late next week. Jeff McNeil's not like a complete fantasy stunner, but you want him in your team. I think he's got second in outfield, and the Mets desperately need their hitting back, and they're starting to come back. I think the Mets weathered the storm here. I think they did it. Conforto's back, McNeil back, Carrasco's kind of coming around the corner, maybe early next month. Now Noah is out for longer, but that's okay. As long as DeGrom can hold up and all these hitters come back, they're going to be there, which is great. Got to have a Springer update. It's been a while since we had a Springer update. Don't know what's going on with Springer. He's played. He's rehabbing, so it's weird. It's like I want to see Toronto's lineup, but it just seems like it's never going to happen. So we'll see what happens with Springer. Not really much of an update. He's rehabbing, and I hope we see him soon. That's the list, guys. Good. We kept it under 10 minutes. We'll see you next time.